What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Plastic Cards Podcast show where we bring you the news, video game news, every week, once a month. I'm Fonz. I'm joined by Gavin Jones. Gavin, how the heck are you?
You know, I'm good, but I just realized something as we were starting. I saw my little avatar guy there.
Yeah.
We might need to change that haircut.
Yeah, if I can't pull it up without switching screens.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a good 4 years. I think it was even taken from a picture that was earlier.
It was 4 years ago, and I think in the last year, like my hair quickly went to white. Like,
I see it more as blonde. Like I honestly don't think.
That's how I see it.
Yeah.
But that's not the comments I get.
Is your beard, when you do let it grow, is it still?
It's got some, like, it's getting the old man, like, hairs coming out sideways.
I see
stuff, but
yeah, I'm getting some gray, but just in the beard, not really in the hair. Actually, in the hair, yeah, too. Yeah, I'm no different than you. Yeah, the more I think about
to your color for as long as you can.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Veroni, how you been?
I've been good. Things are good. I found an exciting fact about the place we live that will excite you probably a little bit. So I decided on Netflix they have this documentary on American Gladiator. Do you remember this when we were kids?
Oh yeah, for sure. I always wanted to be in that. It looks so fun.
Well, after this you will not, because these guys were beating the fuck out of contestants. They were like all roid raged out, and they're like, yeah, and like they only accepted, like, in their tryouts, the people that were just like brutal. Like one guy took a guy, slammed him on the head, broke his like skull, and he's just like, yeah, you got the pot.
Whoa.
So
what are they slamming him on? Because like the floor.
Concrete.
Okay, but
this was just their trial. They're like, we're gonna try you guys out in the parking lot.
Meg says, Megan, for you to scoot your mic closer a little bit.
Closer.
Yeah.
Oh God, I thought I was being too loud. But the very first Gladiator, I forget his original name, but later named Gemini.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, he was one of the original guys, and he helped pick out all the other gladiators. And his like first line in the documentary is like, "Yeah, so I'm originally from this tiny little town called Yakima."
No, that's
like,
awesome.
Yes! It makes me so happy.
The
stock footage they show of Yakima is some completely different town.
Oh, of course.
Which
they're close enough, desert or whatever.
Yeah.
Wait, so there's a doc on Netflix that covers?
Yes. Yeah, I forget what it's called. It might be on Hulu, but I'm pretty sure it was on Netflix.
It's just called America, the doc. I feel like that's what
it was. I forget what it was called. It was like Circus of Chaos or something like that. So anyway, so that little fact, something about it just made my week. So that's how I'm doing. I'm doing American Gladiator good. How you doing, Fonz?
That's our claim to fame, is that we have one person that was on American Gladiator. In 1992.
Cooper Cup? No, fuck them. We got Gemini. So God, these outfits are so.
Oh yeah, the tights. They had the not foam, but they had mats. And so when I'm like, tell me about these tryouts, or I'm like, oh, but it's safe, quote unquote. But it seems like they're doing it in parking lots when they're trying out for the.
Yeah, there was like basically no safety in this. Like,
makes sense.
It was interesting, and I guess a lot of the gladiators' favorite parts is like, because most people, they just knock them down, they wouldn't get back up.
Yeah.
But when people wanted to like get in fights with them, I'm like, oh, we got a scrapper. This is awesome. Let's go. Also, I'm twice your size.
Yeah.
So
there's this stuff, which like the actual platform thing seems hard to beat one of these gladiators, but there was also, I want to say it's like towards the end of the competition where they're shooting stuff at you.
Apparently that was at the beginning.
Oh, okay.
That was my favorite part.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to
just
do.
Like trying to dodge it, and they have like the cool plexiglass over the thing. They're just this turret gun that shoots Nerf balls or whatever.
Yeah.
That hair, man.
Yeah, I think they called him Malibu, and he was a bodybuilder, but he also like wasn't very good at this. They said he couldn't take a hit very well.
Okay.
So
awesome.
But yeah.
I'm about to watch this, Kevin.
It's all right. Oh God, it's so.
Oh, we bring it back.
It's so 90s, it was 90s, right?
It was 90s.
It might have started late 80s. It was earlier than I thought.
Yeah, I'm sure it ran for a while. Maybe I don't even think we got reruns. I'm sure it was still happening in the early 90s. But I remember watching this in the morning on like weekends as a kid.
Yeah.
Just like, this is so dope.
And then like our equivalent was sort of like Guts for Nickelodeon, if you remember that.
Yeah. Not as awesome as this, but yeah, Guts is cool.
No, it was more like this mixed with what you call
there's like Legends of Hidden Temple or
yes, yeah.
So what would you do? There's different Nickelodeon competitions.
What's the one where like, yeah, you got the families. It was like, what if what's the one with Steve Harvey?
Oh, Family Feud.
Yeah, what if Family Feud, but with boogers and physical challenges?
Yeah.
You got a physical challenge.
Which merge that with Family Feud and have Steve Harvey on that show.
Yeah,
And that's
we'll just
gold.
bring it back. I think people would want that show.
Yeah, there's a cool. It's not a doc. It's like a YouTube vid going down the history of Nickelodeon shows when they were filmed.
Oh, awesome!
And how it was a big deal with that studio they're at. Was it Universal Studios?
That sounds right.
And they had a deal where they could shoot there, or for them to shoot there, they had to make sure that there was like stuff that was filmed live. So a lot of the shows they made were because the fact that they needed a live audience, because that was a deal they had with whatever studio.
That's smart. That's
Universal
smart.
Studios, so they would bring in people and be able to see them while like taping shows and whatnot.
Yeah.
And a lot of time they had nothing to film, but they had to just like fake something so that like people coming through, because they would pay tickets to go watch this. But it was just really cool, and I love that era of Nickelodeon. It was awesome.
That was the best. Bring it back.
I'm gonna start training for American Gladiator. So when it comes back, I'll be ready to go.
Or we need to do Are You Afraid in the Dark, but this time by Jordan Peele.
Oh, damn.
It's still got to be really terrible, like Canadian production companies though, that are also doing like Goosebumps at the same time.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, no, I'd be
and that's
down
a
for that.
funny idea, but also that could actually work, like having him, because he does like really adult, scary stuff.
Yeah,
but having him go like, hey, actually make it with a kid angle. It's like, okay, like not dumb it down, but like play with that fear differently. I'm sure he would still knock it out of the park, because anything he does is awesome.
Yeah, or do kind of like have it be for adults, but like it's making fun of these like horror styles while still being a really good example of said thing.
Yep.
While I eat my McDonald's adult meal or whatever the thing is called.
Yeah. There was they brought back Goosebumps. We watched that not too long ago.
Oh, the movie.
Yeah, I think we're telling you about it, but it's like a series with Jordan Long.
Yeah.
It's dope.
It was good.
Yeah.
It looked a little spooky for my taste.
It's
a little
not.
spooky.
I guarantee you it is not too spooky
No?
for you. No. You'll be all right, Gavin.
You know what? Another spooky Disney one, though, not that spooky, but the new Haunted Mansion wasn't that bad.
Yeah, Megan watched it. I think came out on the end, like the tail of it when she was done. But yeah, she liked it too.
Yeah.
It made no... I tend to catch these movies when she's watching them at the end. They make literally no goddamn sense.
That's probably one of the worst ones to come in at the end. So
it's like a crystal and... what's her face? That she's like, I think she starts off as just like a severed head or whatever on a table, but then she gets a body at some point.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Sigourney Weaver, I think, plays it.
What? Okay.
Somebody.
It was someone
well-known.
famous.
Yeah,
I don't remember it being the Weave, but it could have been the Weave.
It could have been the Weave. I think it was.
That's awesome. Well, what you been up to? What you been playing? What you been watching? Anything crazy?
A lot of nothing, man. Been playing some stuff. I did try Palworld.
Oh, that's right. You told me.
Yeah.
So how your feelings?
It's I think exactly what you'd expect. I knew it wasn't going to be my jam.
Okay.
Where's my B-roll that I had ready to go? There we go. It's not my jam, but it's survival. It's survival crafting stuff. You have Pokemon there that are just kind of cute, but you can decide to just beat the shit out of them at any point.
Did you eat any of them?
I didn't know you. I'm not surprised that you can. I'm assuming you can. I don't know.
Have you seen the like butchering them animation?
No, I've just like beaten them with sticks, basically.
Can you look up Palworld butchering animation? So you can also, because you can capture humans in your pal balls or whatever they're called.
Right.
You can then they become your pals. You can also butcher humans.
Whoa.
Yeah. So there you go. That's the butchering animation, which is amazing. Oh, he's butchering a human.
So they're pixelating them. Okay, but you nicely just disappear into the void. Okay.
Yeah. So that's terrific. So
Yikes.
you didn't take part in cannibalism.
No, I didn't even know you could. That is one aspect that I love, because this isn't tied. I mean, it's directly influenced by Pokemon, right?
Sure.
Obviously, there's like legal stuff. It was a big drama like this whole past 2 weeks, but it's like definitely gives you Pokemon vibes. But because of that, I guess I assume it has that same kind of family-oriented like spin on it, but it doesn't. It's like whatever these creators want to do. There's guns, and so when I think of, I didn't even think that you could butcher these Pokemon or eat yourself or eat another Pokemon.
Right.
That's wild, and so I do like that exists.
Yeah.
Like we covered this game a while ago, where it was maybe like 2 years ago when they showed the initial trailer, and it's like, this is bonkers. I'm glad this exists. And then now that it's here, it's like, I'm not going to play it any more than the 2 hours or whatever I spent, but I'm glad that it's a thing and that people are making this.
And truly bonkers. I can't believe. Now, here's the thing. So I typically don't play these survival crafting games. I assume you haven't played like Ark or anything like that.
I've dabbled. I've tried it, but it never lasts. But beyond Minecraft, that's the only kind of.
So that's what I was going to bring up. Do you now need Pokemon in your Minecraft and also guns?
No.
Okay.
For Minecraft, the heart of it for me is the building and just like the fun of building my house and then looking for resources and then the risk reward of like going into caves and stuff. It's creepy. I like that. And there are animal, NPCs in Minecraft. They've added more over the past 10 years or whatever. And they're cool, but they're just like, to me, they just make that world feel more alive.
Right.
And not like I need to, but you can make farms, you can use them for stuff, you can ride them now. So I don't need this in my Minecraft, but even this, like the building isn't, I would say, as extensive as Minecraft, like where you can dig into the world and, make whatever you want. Right. It seems more Fortnite-y or like Ark, but it was very janky. So I tried this that first weekend it came out.
Sure.
On Xbox, it was definitely different from PC. So at least it was on Game Pass, so I could swap between the PC and the Xbox version.
Right.
And it was just like really not optimized on Xbox.
Okay.
But on PC, it was, it worked great.
Well, you've also got a tank of a PC over there.
Yeah. Luckily now, it's back to the overblown build that I have now. So it ran well and it was, no issues. But it was just weird to see that.
This guy is ripped as fuck. He has just this like, I don't know how to describe this face, like Nickelodeon cartoon face, and he's just jacked, ready to go. Magic Mike over here.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I would. Yeah, that's 100% what I do. I always tend to make thick chicks, and thank the Lord in Palworld you can make thick chicks.
You can go arms clipping through, all on the sides.
Yeah, that's what I give him the salute. I'm like, okay, you know what? I could do that in this game. That's a 10 out of 10 for me.
Yeah.
You can choose any color you want, like person, like hair color, like all kinds of stuff. It's up to you.
Did you get far enough in to get a gun?
No, and it seemed like
so. Did you even play the game if there's no guns?
That's the thing. For me early on, the crafting stuff seems so daunting. Like you can start crafting, making stuff pretty simple, but the idea of like extrapolating that for how long it would take to get some kind of gun, I was like, this is not doable in the weekend that I'm willing to give it. But I'm assuming that you can, and maybe it's not as hard as I thought it was.
It's a ways in there.
Interesting.
And then it's like a muzzle loader too that you literally have to load.
Oh, like a musket or something?
Yeah.
Like, okay. Gotcha.
So you gotta put some time. But...
Did you not give this any thought to play it? Because you have Game Pass, right?
Yeah, but I was busy all weekend, and then I'd had to do it on my PC, and I don't know. I just had to free up. We got some people near where I live that want to play Fortnite, and I'm like, all right, I'll download the fucking game. But it's 100 gigs.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So I gotta delete Cyberpunk, which I'm like, I'm gonna play it, but I've been saying I'm gonna play the new expansion for I don't know how many months now. So.
I think the way you handle memory on your PC is a good analogy for how you live your life. It seems like because you don't, knowing you don't.
I don't know where this is going.
Follow me here.
It's correct.
We're gonna go on a trip here. Knowing you don't spend beyond your means. You're very practical. Okay. And so with a PC, you can fucking get another hard drive. You can
They're
delete stuff.
Priced.
You know what I mean? But it's always a big task for you in your brain for like, I gotta figure this out. I gotta find room. But it's like it's really not that bad. But it's more of like it's just you as a person. You like to make sure that you're not like overextending or something.
Sure.
But
I
even
also
with
have
data,
an 8 terabyte hard drive.
Well, then why are you
PC.
worrying about it?
I could just load a little slower. I don't need my Palworld to be loading at whatever.
But it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay, so but you did play some Fortnite. What'd you think?
I did not. I didn't have any time this weekend. I was playing around a little bit with Unreal Engine though, because I'm getting like the itch. I just got to get over my burnout to get back into it because it's tough. Like I feel like it's physically tough for me to code anymore because that burnout was so strong when I got burnt out.
At least with UE5, and I take a different angle where it's like I need whatever kind of game engine, a game that lets you create, say like Dreams on PlayStation. Yeah. I like the stuff that's graphics heavy, where it's user friendly. You can move stuff physically around and see it. And do you think you benefit from something that you can go in and code behind the scenes, or something you can actually see stuff in real time, or a mix of both?
When
it comes to creating,
I don't think I necessarily benefit or not, because now's such a good time if you want to get into making games and you don't know how to program, or I should say code, because when you're using those visual, like I assume you've seen Unreal's visual scripting language.
I dipped in for a very short amount of time.
Forget what it's called, but that is programming. It's not coding, but it is programming.
Gotcha.
And so that's not my style. For me, that is way harder to read, especially when it becomes spaghetti style. It's way harder to parse. Whereas when your code becomes spaghetti code, yeah, it's still hard to read.
Explain spaghetti code to me. Is that where there's the boxes and there's lines going to these boxes? I've seen various codes like that.
Yeah, but that term comes from programming where you're trying to read this code and it's just like, what? And then I gotta go down here and then what the okay. It's poorly formatted, and that's a lot easier to clean up. Whereas with that's what it's called, blueprint. There's only so much you can do to clean that up.
Interesting.
But yeah, I gotta do it. I gotta get in there. And the other cool thing is there's so much free assets, and Unreal has paid a tremendous amount of money. Fired a lot of people to do it, but they've paid a tremendous amount of money to be giving away new assets I don't know if it's every week or every month. Okay. So especially the people who have had it for a long time, you just keep collecting them. You want to make a forest? All right, I'm going to take all my stuff and I'm just going to put it together. And now that they have the what do you call it, the high detailed stuff, what's that called?
I'm blanking on it, but I know I've heard that term before.
Yeah, so now you don't really got to worry about a lot of stuff like that. So people are just, I don't know, they're just going to build and they're going to put stuff together.
Yeah.
And so there's never been a better time to get into.
You tried it a bit, or you're still like?
I was trying to play around with the programming side of it and the C++. So that's where I'd like to go, personally. But yeah, so I didn't have any time to play games. Well, that's not true. I've been playing, like, when I have 5 minutes, I've been playing Majora's Mask on the 3DS.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
And it's my comfort food game, and I haven't played it in forever, and it's just so.
That's one I've yet to play.
I wouldn't do it now. It's, if you didn't play it when you were a kid, you're gonna come back and think this is just clunky as shit.
Yeah. I can still get into that mindset. Like, I loved Ocarina.
Oh, so then never mind. You probably could.
I know it's a different. There's like a time aspect, blah blah blah. But it's one that just passed me by, and I never jumped into it. And who knows if they'll ever revisit that, because there's so many Zeldas that, at least they're starting to like go and remaster, I guess, various old games. Like there's the Island one, the Zelda Island one that I'm blanking on the name. That was
Link's
a GBA.
Awakening?
Link's Awakening, yeah.
Yeah.
There's that one, and they're starting to go back into the well and remaster. So, but I think it's going to be wild. I wouldn't hold my breath for Ocarina or a Majora remaster, but yeah that's cool. So you're jumping into that.
Yeah, I don't know what it is lately, but I've just been like going down the time loop rabbit hole. Like last night, I couldn't figure out something to watch, and I watched a short film called, I think it's called Two Distant People or something, which is a short film. It's 30 minutes. It's on Netflix, but it's like this guy, he's trying to get home from his like one night stand, and this cop keeps killing him.
Okay.
And like he
resets or whatever.
Yeah, he resets at the one night stand, and it's a really cool film. It'd be nice if it had a fucking ending.
Okay.
Because it sets up an ending, and it's like, oh, by the way, you don't get one.
Yeah.
Black Lives Matter walks out. I'm like, wait, that's cool and all. Say their name, but also give me the ending. I would like the ending, please.
It's the ambiguous where it's like it's up to you to kind of decide what happens, kind of thing, or not
no,
even that.
It just is like, no, I'm gonna walk away, and the camera's not gonna follow.
Okay.
Fuck. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was good though. But it just blue balls.
Yeah. I hear you. You haven't watched anything like crazy awesome that I can think of lately? We'll go down these rabbit holes of The Office, but they have the super fan episodes, which are extended, or it's basically like the full episode before they cut it for TV.
Right.
I've been going through that, and it's fun. Like seeing little bits that they didn't make it. Yeah. Nothing. I do really want to see that new Godzilla -1.
I hear it's great.
Yeah. It's definitely on my list. I don't know if it's still in theaters. I'll probably just wait till like it comes out, but it looks awesome.
Well, if you want to see it, I was thinking about making the offer this week. Cause I'm jacked to see it. I heard I think Damon Hatfield referred to it as a really good movie that just happens to have Godzilla in it, which
that's awesome. And I saw that they got nominated for at least some kind of Academy Award. Maybe just in visual effects or whatever.
On a shoestring budget of like $4 million or something tiny like that for a movie like this. So
that's awesome.
That's insane. I can't imagine competing with the big boys on.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's where, like you mentioned UE5, it's like you can create, movie
Yes.
level visual effects on that engine alone. So it's like you can do it if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, it's never all this stuff. There's never been a better time.
Yeah. I'm too
It's just
dumb to
now,
do
if
any of
we
it.
all
But,
weren't so poor, like that's the
right.
problem on top of it.
Yeah.
But well,
Well,
should we get into the news?
Yeah, we missed a good couple of time frames
Sure.
on some of the news. We'll jump into
Was
that.
it a good time frame? Because I feel like it was like 1,001 layoffs in that.
It was
time.
bad. We'll start with some of the layoffs. I don't have the thing pulled up here. There was, just to jump on the layoffs today, there was a big one from I want to say Ubisoft. This was Embracer Group. So they own Eidos. They laid off 97 employees. And what's also tough with this is that that studio was working on a new Deus Ex game. Right. So it was 2 years in development. It got canceled. Did you ever play the Deus Ex series at all?
I played, so when they made the last two, I played. I can never keep their titles straight.
Yeah, there's like Mankind Divided, there's something else.
And then Human Revolution.
Yeah.
And I played the first one most of the way through.
Of the newer, like, redos of
it. They're really cool. Yeah, it's cool. The gameplay kind of sucks. Like, you get into a firefight and you just don't want to be there.
Yeah. That's exactly how I feel. The little bit that I played of one of the newer ones, yeah, it wasn't there for me. But I know people love this series a lot. Yeah,
and I've been meaning to play the one following up because it's a lot of that. I think this is this Mankind?
So this is Mankind Divided that we're looking at that footage.
Sure, but I know the second one is a lot prettier looking.
Yeah.
And it polishes up a lot of those mechanics, and I think most of it takes place within a small area of Prague, and that's really cool. I like small gameplay spaces and kind of doing that stuff. And like, you could kill a shopkeeper, and then when you come back to that area later that day, that shop is closed for the rest of the game.
Interesting.
Like, that's awesome. Okay, I think this is the first one, but I'm not positive.
And like, we're looking at footage. I remember a lot of mechanics and stuff that kind of like went over my head, but I know that if I stuck with it, it'd make more sense. But sometimes right all at once, it just turns me off when there's like all this stuff that can happen.
I will say though, these games have the best hacking mechanic in any video game I've played, because while it's abstract, it's still just like, I don't know, you got a timer thing and you're trying to anti-hack this other thing and they're coming for you, so you're trying to defeat their antivirus wall. I think that was really
anti-hacking cool. Locking the door?
Well, no.
Isn't that the opposite of?
Probably the wrong word.
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
I
thought that's what they were referencing it.
It's like you're hacking into a thing, they're trying to get you. And
interesting.
Trying
like
to
firewall.
You're trying to slow them down. You can't stop them from getting you. You can slow them down so you can finish what you're doing first.
Gotcha.
And that's pretty cool. But yeah, it's really sad to see this.
There's also the big one, Xbox laid off. Microsoft laid off like 1,900 people.
That's insane. So.
There's a thing I didn't pull up, but it was circulating on Twitter, and people were quantifying the data. So like the first month in 2024, there's been it's like 5,000 at that point, 5,600 layoffs in the games industry. When the year before there was around 10,000. So we're already halfway through what they did last year in the first month of this year, which is insane.
Yeah, I read an interesting article on NPR, and there's a lot of reasons why this is happening.
Sure.
Most of them are shit. But one thing they kind of pointed out is when these layoffs start happening, they kind of make it a little bit like, when a bunch of them happen, they make it a little bit okay. You can sneak in your mass layoff, and people aren't just going to be mad at you. They're like, oh, it's a big problem. So
that's true. It's like, okay, maybe if they had plans for like end of the month, next month, and they're like, just do it now. To get into this more larger debate that people will have versus like just singling out the various devs or studios rather. But
so it's really shitty. Or something I thought was interesting is this one fella from Nintendo Life pointing out that Japan doesn't have this problem. Because they just
put you in a corner room that has no view or whatever. Like, don't they have the different structure of how they demote you?
Right. So, part of it is like either A, you have to have a reason to fire someone, and then B, the government you have to try something else before you just mass lay off people for stuff. So if your company is losing money, top executives got to take a pay cut. So that's probably what happened with Nintendo when Iwata and a lot of those people took pay cuts. Legally, they might have had to have done that.
Was it the Wii U when they did a public thing, and it was and it's so different, like a stark contrast from like what happened in America. They won't actually apologize.
Right, but these companies still do their layoffs in America because that doesn't apply to a Nintendo of America,
Yeah.
Sony of any of these people. So,
Right.
but Japan, but they also have these employees, like they're pointing out, like some of the employees that worked on Nintendo Wonder or Mario Wonder worked on the original Mario.
Wow.
Like, because there are so many rules to protect these employees, they stick around, and that also makes a lot of these employee base better. You have that veteran presence,
Yeah.
and also the ability to teach the new employees from your veteran presence. So,
right, and
cool.
especially at least in America in the game dev world and with studios, there's a lot of turnover, turnover, and why you wouldn't want that, right? You'd want to keep people happy at their job, even if it means paying them more. I understand that at a higher level, it's like you have whatever budget you need to keep in mind. That makes sense to me, but also it's like there's an argument for keeping these people that are trained, that are intelligent on what they're doing, keeping them there happy so that you don't have to retrain people coming in. I feel like that would lose you money. I just don't understand and it goes over my head. I'm not a businessman. I have no idea how it works, but it's just like, why is that happening?
I think there's a I don't know who said it, but it's just like every game is a miracle that it gets made, and as things get more complicated, it's becoming more and more of a miracle. Like you see that with Suicide Squad, where 10 years? How the fuck that thing even get out the door?
Yeah. And you bring that argument up or bring that point up, and I can see where, when I think of Rocksteady, and people have been beating this to death online lately, you have their core Batman games that really like revolutionize combat. People love them. They're adored. And then you have them announce this, which is like them trying to just jump on a wave of what's popular with like live service games with stuff that's Fortnite-y, flashy.
Chase all the trends from 5 years ago.
Right. Yeah, exactly, from 5 years ago. But I can see where when you bring that up with how risky it is in game development, with how crazy expensive these budgets are, where it's like there's less chances you can take on that level. So you got to go for what on paper would make you money, which is Suicide Squad. So it makes more sense to me now with that lens. But looking at what they've done before, it's like, well, why would you make this? Like, why wouldn't you go for something that's like that when people love it? And I assume you made money doing that too.
Yeah. So
we'll switch over to we'll let you finish your point, but we'll switch over to Suicide Squad. That happened. It's happening. It came out this week. In not early access, but like early release for people that pre-ordered.
Well, I think so it is early release, but I think they may have actually used the word early access, or maybe I could be wrong.
It'd be smart if they did.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's, this is the game you're getting if you wait till Friday when it officially comes out. There was drama over the past couple weeks with different outlets not getting review codes. The big one was IGN. They were vocal on it. And so what I found interesting was, just picking that apart, was in the comments. So IGN revealed that they had asked WB directly and they denied them. Right. But a lot of outlets, I don't think any really got it. Yeah. So,
but the way they did word it made it sound personal.
Right. And so there could be some like, they are taking it personally kind of thing in that tweet. But usually it doesn't bode well for games that don't have review access beforehand, but it's not always the case. Like somebody pointed out the Doom 2016.
Bethesda does not give out games.
And Bethesda has like a blanket thing, which is fine, but it seems like for Hogwarts and other games, they've let outlets play it early. So it's like, it's weird to pick and choose. So that just like gave people bad vibes.
Oh, WB did, really? Okay.
Yeah. And then, but also tied with that was, since IGN was the big one talking about it, people in the comments seem to roast them. And I guess I didn't realize, but online, everyone hates IGN. I grew up with them being like a pretty like positive like outlet to look at, and I trust them. I still do. But online, people were just like, that's what you get for covering them negatively, which is going back to previews that were like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, now became a protest where I'm going to buy this game now just because you don't like it. But I'm like, that doesn't help you. That helps whatever entity that owns WB. It's like, that's only protecting them if you buy this thing blindly. These outlets are, in theory, trying to give you an idea of what the game's going to be, which is why they want to play it before you to tell you what they think.
Yeah, unfortunately, people on the internet are just the and it's true. Like, I don't know if you've ever gone to the comment section on any IGN review ever.
Yeah.
The worst.
Yeah, I'm always like, why are you guys here then? What are we doing?
The top comment will always just be the number.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
or like, oh, but you gave whatever game, 5 out of 10, or it's like, okay, why do you still go to this outlet then? But people just love to just talk shit.
I think IGN, though, has been kind of the punching bag since kind of forever, especially once they became very successful.
Yeah, they're the biggest. I would argue they're the biggest one out there for sure. That's still alive, that's still running today. But I wouldn't say that you can't criticize them. You absolutely can and should. Sure. It's just like it should go both ways. You should be criticizing the actual companies that own these devs, these studios. I don't put any flack towards the studio as far as like when it comes to review codes. This is often like a publisher thing. It's like they're trying to protect their 100%. IP. They want to make sure. So even when they were like, we're not going to give this to anybody, I can even get that because that's their job to be like, we're going to protect this thing to try and make sales. The dev doesn't give a shit. And they're maybe not even a part of that conversation. They're just making the game. It's sending off to somebody else to handle how review codes happen and who gets to see it and what. Yeah. So there's just a lot of moving parts, but it's just like to be angry at the people that are trying to tell you what they think to help you decide beforehand. It seems bonkers to me to be angry at them.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's.
Do you have any desire to play this?
I kind of do now. I've been watching a fair amount of streamers play it. I think the one thing that annoys me is when I'm watching it, it's like 3 minutes of gameplay, 2 minutes of cutscenes, 3 minutes of gameplay, 2 minutes of cutscenes, and that's where a lot of this money went here. And this, I wonder if the face tech looks very similar to Mortal Kombat. So I wonder if that team kind of helped them out and gave them this really fantastic face tech.
That's true. That's WB still too, right?
Yeah, but some of the gameplay in this looks kind of fun. One guy was whipping around on King Shark, and he can just go from like floor level to 12th floor and then like slam high jump, back down. Or Deadshot's like poorly functioning jetpack looks kind of fun. It seems like it's a struggle for him to stay in the air.
Yeah.
So you land and then
Harley
you
has
slide
the Spider-Man swing with her thing. Yeah.
Right. I haven't seen anyone use that, so at least it looks like we maybe have some fun movement mechanics. So I'd give it a shot.
It does look fun. Like that's one thing that I can't deny with the gameplay is like it looks fun. It looks like there is a focus on movement, on always moving. It almost gives me the vibes of like not Insomniac Now, but like oh god, what's their last one before Spider-Man? Sunset Overdrive.
Sunset Overdrive. I did get some vibes, especially with Deadshot, because of the way he's like bouncing around different stuff. He can't stay in the air for forever.
Yeah.
So I'm getting some of those vibes too.
Yeah, I can see that. There was a lot of people roasting them when the previews came out with the HUD and like all the different stuff popping up on screen and these different meters and like things you're unlocking and currency. And it's like that for sure turns me off. But like if they can balance that, but also it's like I'll look at other gameplay and it's not that bad. So it's like if people are picking the worst times to like take a snapshot and show like this is what the game looks like 24/7. It's like that's not the case.
Yeah. I guess the other thing that does bug me a little bit about the maybe this is more fun when you're playing it, but it seems like every mission is go to an area, defend it for however many minutes or survive so many waves, and then cutscene and or go to the next area to do that again. Like we're gonna need some good mission variety here, and I worry that they don't have it.
Right, that's gonna be the legs of this thing is because it's a live service game, right? So it's like you finish your campaign and then they want you to keep playing the game. Like that's what they've banked on. So what's gonna be there? Does the gameplay get stale after a while? Is there enough challenge missions? I know they've announced some of the DLC that'll come up by, like there's the Joker thing coming out eventually, which is cool, but it's like what is the gameplay loop fun enough to keep going if it's not going to be its own single player campaign?
I don't know. I also question like what was the delay, because I thought the delay would be like, okay, we're going to tear out all this live service stuff that people hate. That's all there.
Yeah. It looks the same visually too.
So is this just in a way worse state? Like, could this have been an absolute clusterfuck if it came out a year ago? Because now it's a mild clusterfuck.
Yeah. Now it's just like mixed controversy. Because you're right. It was about a year that they pushed it.
Yeah.
And they were pretty close to releasing at that point. And it was like the Halo Infinite kind of situation where they said, okay, we're listening to the community, we hear you, but then what comes out is still the same thing. Maybe it was just more bug stuff. Where it's just like we just have a lot of bugs under the hood that we need to work on.
Isn't that what like Destiny would do with a lot of their stuff? It's like, yeah, we hear you. We're still gonna do what the fuck we were gonna do beforehand.
We still need to make money or make this profitable or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. And we were talking about the layoffs and stuff. And you think about a AAA studio like Rocksteady, they're known for Batman. They're a big deal, but there was something in the news recently about some of the founding members of Rocksteady finding their own studio. So a lot of these studios now, as they evolve, whatever made them what they're synonymous for, they end up just like moving and doing their own thing. So it's like you kind of can't expect the same level from them if stuff has changed, which stuff often changes with these studios.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about a little bit before the stream, and we were seeing a lot of that, especially now that we have these layoffs. And I almost wonder sometimes with these layoffs if it's less cruel to just shutter the studio than to lay off a bunch of people and then maybe eventually shutter it. Because you saw like Volition just got shut down. Well, Volition just opened up the people from Volition just opened up a new studio.
Gotcha.
Or we're seeing, so, or sometimes people just leaving because the work environment sucks. Like a lot of the people at who made Redfall.
Oh, it's Arcane. Austin or whatever.
Arcane Austin. They fucked off and went over to Wolfeye Studio, and we're seeing a lot of that. So hopefully, this is really shitty. Like this is not an upside, but maybe as a slight upside of this, these people can come together and get their own studios that maybe won't treat them like shit.
I think if there's any silver lining for the mass layoff stuff that's happening now is the fact that there seems to be more studios than ever, and that's just me talking straight out of my ass. But like with
I don't think it is.
Well, with every week that goes by, it's always like the new studio from X devs from blah blah blah. It's like it's always happening.
Yeah. And
so maybe there's still jobs for these. I'm assuming there's still jobs for these people to go to. So hopefully they can find the studio that's gonna value their talent and keep them. And it seems like it's not a part of these like really big AAA studios. It's going to be the smaller stuff, but that's good. That's so positive. It's a way for these people to go elsewhere and still work on stuff that they care about.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, going back to Suicide Squad, I did try the beta that came out, the pre-alpha or whatever, that came out, and I didn't like the start of it. We talked about that. Like that seemed slow. Yeah. It seems like that carried over to the game. For what we're saying from watching streams. But once you get the hang of the movement per character, that did seem fun. I'm one of the weirdos that would love a single player experience, and you can play it like that. They did drive that home.
The guy I was watching and he seemed to be really enjoying it. I guess here's the other thing, because how do you feel about looter shooters? Because this is 100% a looter shooter.
Interesting.
And I know you play Destiny. So I know.
Yeah, although even with Destiny, I played that single player, just finished the campaign, and maybe kept going a little bit longer, but I was out. And that's just stuff beyond that doesn't call out to me.
Sure.
But with the term looter shooter, if you throw in like something like Borderlands, I'm cool with that.
Really? Okay.
But that's also something where I don't have to rely on a party. I'm looking for what is your overarching story, the thing that you want to funnel me through. I want to play that.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, I don't want to keep grinding to like find whatever new weapons or gear if that story is complete. I just kind of tap out after that.
I guess that's the thing with Borderlands though, is like you don't have to grind ever. You can just go through like a single player story.
And find stuff, find guns. There's the vending machines.
Naturally find a better gun as you go. So I could see that it's basically Halo, but with Diablo mixed in.
That's cool. Yeah, and I lean more that direction versus something like this, where it's like they want to keep you playing this thing indefinitely, and they want the loop to also be like, what can you unlock? What kind of gear, different stuff can you have? And that's just not my vibe.
Now, is this on Game Pass?
Now I don't know. I could see this thing quickly getting there. But also it depends on what this first week looks like for actual sales.
Okay.
If it does gangbusters, then I think it's gonna be a while before we see a sale or like a Game Pass thing. But
is it 70?
I think it is still full retail $70.
I want to play it, but I'm not sure I want to pay it.
From what I've seen, even on PC, it was $70.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll see. I mean, it's still yet to officially come out, so we'll see what the sales look like. Because it could be they're sitting on something that's highly profitable. Like there was that last game in the Batman universe, which was Batman Gotham Knights. That one did commercially well, even though there was a lot of there's a lot of drama or like mixed reviews with that game, but it did commercially well. So I could see this one also doing that too.
Yeah, that reminds me of a statement I saw. I don't know if you have this in your article, but Tencent put out like a statement or something today talking about they weren't happy with last year because I guess last year, like all these studios are just like doing gangbusters, crazy, awesome titles, and Tencent was like, we're just treading water. Like,
as this Tencent feels its game business achieved nothing during 2023. But they own a stake in like everything at this point.
Literally everything. So
maybe they didn't see the growth they wanted, or these are what are they Saudi Arabia investors for Tencent, or is it Chinese investors?
I believe they're Chinese.
Okay,
Saudia was.
that's another group that's
Well, Saudis were backing Embracer.
Okay,
so that's
gotcha.
where that guy was getting all his money from.
Gotcha. Maybe with Tencent, if it's a Chinese company or Chinese funders, they're looking at the potential rise in gaming, and they're just like, okay, throw money on it. We want to see a return on our investment, and they don't see that astronomical return. They're like, hey, this isn't profitable, but really, it's like it's a slow rise. Although it is a big rise every year, it's still crazy profitable for gaming as a whole. But maybe it's just like, well, we wanted to make 20 billion. But it's like, okay, well, chill, dude.
That's my concern, is that they're gonna pull a Square Enix, whereas Square Enix, like, what it only made $2 million. Like,
cut it. Or Embracer, like we're talking about them with Eidos.
That's how they lost Eidos.
Yeah,
they had them,
and they bought just tons of studios over the past couple of years, and now it's like it's catching up to them, where it's like, okay, we can't keep this afloat. Why the fuck did you buy all these studios? Just because you could, I guess.
They thought more money was coming, and then that deal fell through.
Right.
So,
well, Gav, we'll move on here. Some Switch rumors.
Always Switch rumors.
Yep.
Is interesting though, with a lot of these Switch rumors, like somebody will say it. It's not even leaking it at this point. Like a bunch of people are just like, yeah, it's got an 8-inch LCD screen, and then everyone's like, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
That's how desperate we are, or at least like gaming outlets are for news with the Switch.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the scuttlebutt the past couple weeks was the Switch 2 reportedly has an 8-inch LCD screen, and people are picking apart the fact it's not OLED, it's LCD.
Yeah.
It seems like the future is OLED, but not really, right? So that's one I would push back on. You have the Valve Steam Deck has an OLED model. Even Switch has an OLED model, but they're slightly more expensive to produce. And so it seems like they're still trying to balance, like, how do we make a profit off of this versus like leaning towards the future.
Right.
And then Nintendo is notorious for like bare bones hardware, it seems like, but also like battery life is really important to them. So it seems like with LCD, they would lean that way.
Yeah, I think OLED, I believe, is better for your battery.
Okay, then what are we doing here? Throw an OLED on that Switch
They're
too.
more expensive, and Nintendo is perpetually 5 years behind. So,
but they do strike a good balance with like keeping it affordable. Like I think of like the original Game Boy. Yeah, there's all these once they were the big thing on the market. There was a lot of these competitors making something that was more powerful, better screen, blah blah blah, better graphics, but the battery life always sucked, or it was way more expensive.
Right.
And Game Boy kept trucking along because they kept those things as their core, focus of affordability and battery life. And it seems like with Switch, they can't shake that. They're continuing on with that.
And some of those bets don't necessarily pay off. I didn't realize that the Virtual Boy was red only because it'd be too expensive to do all three colors.
I did not know that. I just thought that was just like the limit of that technology at that point.
Yeah, I wonder if it actually would have been more popular if you had all
actual color.
How much? Can you look up real quick? How much did the fucking Virtual Boy cost?
Yeah. How much?
In all caps. No, you got to continue in all caps. That's how you look.
I had it said, and I can't look at it. So 179. Oh, now in 1995,
for like a thing with 8 games, and Lord knows those were probably expensive.
Now it's $180 in 1995. Let's look at inflation.
Oh God, yeah. I didn't realize how much some of this stuff cost when we were kids. Like my coworkers telling me that Street Fighter 2 or whatever, when it came out for the Super Nintendo, was $100.
Yeah, a lot of that's one thing that went past our heads, because I think as kids we look back, it's like our parents hated us; they wouldn't buy us any games. Exactly. But really, they were actually like they weren't just like following the $50, $40 model that we have today. It's like they fluctuate. A lot of them were different prices.
The struggle bus was worse back then, apparently.
So Virtual Boy now would be $357.
Fucking.
Which, if you look at like the Oculus, they would go for about $300-$400. So it's in line with that.
I'll buy an Oculus.
But that is a good amount of change now.
Yeah.
I did not know about the Virtual Boy. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. I think that was a Did You Know or whatever those things are called. But
yeah, go back to Switch 2. So we have that as the potential, the 8-inch screen. But also what was floating around this was maybe 2 weeks ago. And I texted you at the time. So Game Shark, which they're known for making these peripherals for unlocking cheat codes on like the Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. They still survive. They're a company now, but they're called AI Shark. And they're focused on like, not hacks, but like AI generated stuff that helps you be better at games. I don't know how that works.
I read that, and I still don't know what that means.
No, if it's not cheating, I don't know what they're actually doing. That's not going to get banned.
No one's going to beat them to the market because no one knows what the fuck it is.
Yeah. Now, they are the ones who potentially leaked a date for the Switch 2, which would be September.
Yeah.
They rolled it back and said, like, oh, some kind of, like, just press release covering all the corners. But if that's to be believed, which I lean more towards this being real because these outlets mess up all the time, especially one that, like, doesn't realize that they're going to mess something up. I think of, like, the Xbox not redacted, like, legal form that happened a couple of months ago. But I could see September release for this. It's still before holiday.
Yep.
This original Switch released, it was like spring. Like it was way before the holiday season.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like it was, February, March, something like that. It was a good while.
I'm stealing a theory from IGN of, I think it makes a lot of sense that time was already rumored.
Okay.
These people are coming back out of nowhere. They're trying to grab a little free press, pretend to leak it. Who would hack the system like that than a company called fucking Game Shark?
Yeah. You're onto something here.
It's very much in their character. I'm totally on that theory.
Brandam says in the chat the Virtual Boy would give people a headache, and yes,
That's what I heard. Did you ever use one
I've talked to Brandon about it in the past. The only time I got to play it was at various stores, so like Sears. They'd have the kiosk where you could try it. And I remember being like, you have to like kind of focus on it and like, yeah, I guess it's cool. I can see stuff. But then you just walk away. It wasn't like, I have to buy this. I have to convince somebody to like buy it for me. It was just neat.
I don't know. I was thinking about the Virtual Boy the other day and like these games that like parents didn't buy back in the day. So like, you ever wish you could just go back in time and be like, don't buy that. You don't need Astro's bowling lanes for the N64 with your Christmas money. Go anything, something else, please.
You can travel back in time, but the only ability you have is just telling you not to buy the whatever thing.
Exactly. This is how I would use. Could I fix my life? Yes, but by buying the correct video games.
Mine is not even buying a game; it's renting. The game where
did you ever rent a game that actually ruined your childhood?
Basically, I'd still burn in my brain. It's like a weekend where it was me and my uncle renting a game. We were taken to, it wasn't even Blockbuster, it was like whatever store that would let you rent games to.
Okay.
Supermarket. But it was Where's Mario? And it was for the Super Nintendo.
Do you mean Mario is Missing?
Mario's Missing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's childhood record.
Yeah, and it's one where it's like, we're looking through and it's like, I've never heard of this Mario game, but it's Mario. That's cool. And this is back when you just have the cover.
Yeah.
And not even like, it's like just a grocery store where they have, the back of it doesn't have the actual game. It's just no information. It's just the front.
Yeah.
And so not even a disclaimer saying what it is. It's just where Mario's missing. I'm like, okay. But it's like a learning sim adventure thing. You play as Luigi.
Yeah.
So Mario's literally missing.
Even if you weren't Luigi, that game is garbage.
Yeah.
It is terrible.
You could be hentai on it. It'd still be a bad game.
I do remember. Now, I can't remember if it was Mario's Missing or there was another one of that style. But did you get to the like first person stage where you're like surfing on a Yoshi?
No, that would be awesome.
Yeah, it was like really cool.
On a Super Nintendo they did that?
Yeah, I was using Mode 7 and everything. This game also I thought was interesting, came out on PC. That's where I played Mario's Missing and or whatever the one that's almost exactly like it.
Yeah.
And couldn't figure out jack shit. God.
And it's like he's all over the world, right? So you have to like, it's history trivia or like, geography related trivia and stuff. There's questions you have to answer.
It's so funny that you mentioned hentai because this looks like something on like newgrounds.com back in the day. This would be like a fan game that someone would make. And like the whole goal is to get
they
hentai.
trick you because I love Super Mario.
Sure.
That's still one of my favorite games of all time. And they're using those images, those sprites to like, try and trick you basically as a kid into thinking you're playing Mario.
That was 100% on purpose. There's no way that any of this trickery was an accident. Is there not a certain
first person
thing?
I don't know.
Yeah,
it might have been another
person.
one like that.
Hold on. Right in there. I think it's a little bit.
I'm scrolling through. He's just in a city this entire time, side scrolling.
Mother. Okay. Maybe it's at the hump here. Maybe that's what people want to see. Oh, whoa!
So,
this is the boss
semi-boss battle.
Oh, okay.
You have to solve math problems to jump, I think. In
Yes. See, that was the sad thing. Is Math Blaster was more fun than these games.
Oh, I love me some Math Blaster.
Math Blaster.
Let me tell you. And I suck at math, so it was really a heartache for me as a kid because like I want to play this game, but I'm so terrible, and it's not doing what it's trying to do and like teach me math.
So that actually did, because I was bad at math and I really wanted to play those games though, so it did help with Math Blaster. Or what was? Did you ever play Number Muncher?
No.
God, that was a weird one.
That is one of my favorite movies, but I've never played
Number
that game.
Muncher. It's my favorite porn.
Oh, dude, Math Blaster was something else. And we had a bunch of like IMAX or whatever at the time at school. And yeah, this is what it had. And if we were good, we got to play this. And so
yeah, this
you best believe I was on point.
I think there were times when like I would stay late after class to play.
Like a true. That's when you know, like, oh, this is a freaking nerd here.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what this has to do with math.
Maybe I think at this point you're just clicking the garbage, but there was math involved for sure.
Okay, maybe we're playing on. Oh, okay.
That might have been your. The clicking is your reward for solving the math, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, Math Blasters. Oh, this is yeah.
Bring back Math Blasters.
Oh, these kids would riot if they had to play this on Switch.
There's no way this series still exists, but it should.
Brandam says Number Muncher was a good game. So this is a real thing?
Number Muncher, it was like, I played it on like a very old Mac. I think it was on my black and white Mac.
I get a virus for searching Number Muncher on my computer.
Yeah, actually.
Is this what it looks like? So I'm not even sure if we're.
You know the funny thing? I think he showed up in. I could be wrong, but I think he showed up in Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh really?
I think so.
That'd be cool.
But yeah, he's.
This though?
Yeah, I don't even remember what you were doing, and I had to. I couldn't. I was very young. So my sister had to play this for me because I couldn't figure out how to do it. Multiples of 2. Okay.
So you just
even numbers then.
Oh, I would kill it now if I played Number Muncher.
Troggle. Why does it say Troggle on the side? Oh yeah, this guy who I like as a kid, I was always thinking was like a demon version of who's the purple guy from McDonald's? Yeah, Grimace.
Yeah,
it's like Demon Grimace.
He's like the white trash version or whatever. He's like missing teeth, smoking meth.
Yeah.
I need a like Tax Muncher or Rent Muncher. Something that explains like actual adult things to me.
We need to actually do Tax Muncher.
Yeah, it does your taxes and you're playing the game.
Yeah,
so there we go.
No, I'm down for that. But it's different because if like you go to jail in the game, you go to jail for real.
Yeah, there's real repercussions. You get swatted for real.
Oh man!
All right, well,
that's awesome. I don't even know what started this conversation.
Who knows, Gavin?
Too many rabbit holes.
This was interesting. I don't know if you caught this.
There we go.
Yeah, Switch 2 confirms coming. This is interesting. Cliff Blazinski was in the news again recently, just from this comment on Gears of War.
Oh, okay.
So I pulled this up. He tweeted, and I thought I'd like to get your reaction on that.
I haven't thought about him in so long.
So he's been doing a lot of stuff. He's so he's not really doing a lot of game dev stuff lately, but he's writing books. He's out on the internet still. But he talked about how no one's really approached him. This is a long tweet from him, but long story short, no one's approached him for any kind of Gears of War advice or any like interpretation. Like, hey, where would you take this this series? What would you do with it?
Right.
Would you want to be on board as like some kind of just person behind the scenes? And he mentions like it'd be smart with where Gears of War was, with bringing Cliff Blazinski back on just as a name, like, hey, he's helping us, write the story, or as an advisor. He's mentioned they've done nothing over that for the past 10 years and nothing recently. And it seems like the way to go with Gears would be to some kind of reboot. People love the recent ones.
Sure. Yeah.
But like some kind of spiritual reboot would be good. He's not been approached about that at all. And he's kind of bummed, but he's mentioned how he's just he's at peace with that. It's not happening.
Sure.
But when you look back at Gears, do you think I would agree with him. It's like, I'd love to see him back as some kind of advisor on that Gears of War series, but do you want them to just keep going in this new direction, go back some kind of reboot thing?
I mean, I could see why they'd be a little hesitant. Didn't his studio that he formed put out?
Yes. No, I'm not saying like he's handling the development stuff. I'm saying like as far as like, hey, we want to get back to whatever core vibe of Gears. Would you be on as some kind of input? And then we can, when we end up advertising the game, it's like we have you out talking about it. They always do this with like the Terminator franchise, where they have Oh god, James Cameron. They always have him, like they ask him like, "What do you think about this new one?" And like you can tell when they pay him enough because he's like, "Oh, it's great. Like I'm on some kind of advisor. They're going in a great direction." Like something like that, where it's like it's helping them to advertise the game or the movie rather.
So the mistake you're kind of making is that very early on, the game industry, at least in America, very much didn't want names on stuff. We wanted everyone replaceable. You're getting too big. We're going to get rid of you. We're going to put somebody new in there because then we have to pay you more.
Sure.
If you're a big name, like, yeah, you see these in Japan, but they came out very early on with a lot of stuff. So we have what? We have Sid Meier.
Yeah. Nintendo guy, Mario guy.
But I'm talking American studios here.
Oh, okay, okay. So yeah, true. Well, the first ones I think of are like Kojima, whatever. I can't think of the Mario
who's the
guy.
Rainbow Six guy?
Tom Clancy.
Yeah.
But he's at the mid.
Tom Clancy doesn't do shit for this.
Yeah.
They put his name on it and send him a check.
True, true.
So that's what these big. God, this game looks so fucking good.
Yeah, we're looking at the actual, not remaster. They did some kind of up-res version for the Xbox.
Right.
But, and I guess with the Gears of War franchise, do you think fans even care about Cliff anymore if they think about him?
I don't think so. Like,
but I grew up like this was dope, and this wasn't that long ago. Where it's like I still remember who Cliff Bleszinski is. I remember these core 3 Gears of War games and how special they were, and they were just like weird and different.
Yeah.
Where his name still has value to me. Like, but I guess if they're going forward, does that value still stay there? But is it because they haven't tried to keep that there, or they're just trying to make something else?
I also don't know how many Gears of War games he even worked on.
I would say the first. Trilogy? I think the first 3 at least, and I'm pretty sure after that it wasn't. He wasn't involved.
Yeah. My concern about Gears is it. And I like Gears. I think Gears is very good, but it does kind of feel like a dinosaur.
It does.
It's a fun dinosaur.
Yeah.
But dinosaurs.
And I like it. And it's but it's a dinosaur that's not even that old.
No, but I don't feel.
And in a world where everyone's trying to follow Call of Duty, Fortnite, why not lean harder into this that was different?
Yeah.
You know, and they're still making a Gears behind the scenes for sure. Like the Coalition is definitely working on the next one. Not officially. I mean, they did put out like an image saying like we're working on something.
Yeah, which is nice because I feel bad for the Coalition in the sense of they felt like a Microsoft support studio. They brought them in like, hey, your tech's not very good. We're going to bring in the Coalition. You don't understand Unreal 5? These guys literally know everything about it. So they've been doing a lot of the support role, and I imagine that's not as satisfying as getting to make your own game. So I think they are dedicated to Gears.
It seems like it's like a Gear studio now.
Yeah, so it'd be nice if they kind of got to do their own thing. But yeah, I don't know. I also worry that it's going to have like its Halo Infinite moment. I don't know when the next time we're going to see a Halo game. And they've said, I thought Halo Infinite was going to be, this is the platform and we're going to be playing Halo.
That's what it was advertised as.
Right.
We're going to keep adding story content to this, not just multiplayer.
And that's not it anymore. No. So my concern would be they put out a subpar Gears. It doesn't do the sales numbers, and Microsoft gets, because they've been treating, what is it, 343 that does Halo?
Yeah,
they've not been treating them very well.
No, it's although it's two things at once, where it's like they're also excelling at the multiplayer. Like they turned it around.
Yeah,
that community is there. They're still hungry for content. They're still making more updates to multiplayer maps and whatnot. So it's like they excelled there, but it's almost like it was too after the fact, where people just kind of wrote them off.
Sure,
and that community shrunk, but it was still there.
Yeah.
So it's a bummer. And you're right. Halo Infinite was kind of geared as something that was going to be continuous story wise. There was something, I didn't pull it up, but it was in the news a couple weeks ago. What was it, last week? That there was a Halo Battle Royale that was worked on and it was canceled. And I don't know if
wanted this for so long.
Yeah. There was a time, if you remember, we got together and watched a Xbox E3 back when it was like still like, hey, this is our E3 thing. And they had all these, this was maybe 2019, 2020.
Okay.
They had all these, they had 100 Xboxes and TVs on stage.
Okay.
Remember this? And they didn't do anything with it. But at the time, it was like, oh, this is to show off. Because this is also when Fortnite was hot, still is hot. But like, it would seem like, oh, this is them getting ready to announce, like, and everyone's playing this on stage. We're playing Halo Battle Royale. Nothing happened. They had 100 fucking screens on stage with Xboxes for nothing.
But that doesn't surprise me.
No, but that made me think like, oh, okay, this is finally happening. Nope. And so you hear that they were working on it, but maybe it was in a really bad state, or they think there's no value in that franchise anymore, or not for Battle Royale. They got to steer towards whatever the next direction is.
That could be. I mean, a lot of these genres, once they sort of calcify, they can be impossible to crack into. Fortnite got in there super early and also stole a lot of stuff from PUBG. You look at like League of Legends and Dota 2. No other MOBA could get in there. Like even some really good one, like Smite is barely hanging on. Like it's once these genres calcify, because you really only need so many.
Yeah, although don't tell that to any other studio because they're all trying to crack in. They all think like, but it might work for me, and then they make their attempt.
Well,
but
don't
it's like,
worry, the next Batman game is going to be a battle royale.
Now it might work. Now I think if you wait long enough, you wait for the king to fall off, then there's your chance. Like as people get tired of stuff like Call of Duty or Fortnite, then there's your chance to jump in.
They could bring back. Can you look up on YouTube Gotham City Imposters? They just bring this back.
Was that a PC thing?
It was like an arena shooter. I think it was on consoles too, but it was an arena shooter
based in the Batman.
But no one's actual like Batman or the villains. You're all like wannabes, and
I want to see some gameplay. But
yeah,
this isn't old, right? This seems familiar.
It's super old. Yeah, it's gone.
Oh, but 12 years ago is when the trailer went up.
Okay, well, we're making me feel real old.
I thought it wasn't. So this is their CG announcement thing. But what did the gameplay...
So this is like, in Dark Knight when there was the guy that's like, I'm not wearing hockey pads. You get to play as hockey pads.
Okay. So it's literally them just like following these various villains and heroes and fighting against each other.
Yeah, I think it was just like an arena shooter.
Gotcha.
So, but
interesting.
Bring this back and make this a battle royale in that huge city. That was one thing we didn't mention about the new Batman game. That city is huge and super detailed, and you're like crazy up high. Like the draw distances are awesome. It's a great looking.
The tech is there. It does look samey to me, if that's the right word.
Absolutely.
Where any point you're in the city, it's like besides that big floating alien thing in the sky, I don't know where the hell I would be at.
Right.
But it is highly detailed and like it's not popping. Stuff isn't popping in from what I can tell. It's like it looks really good.
Now, I might be able to sell you on it with a small spoiler.
Mm-hmm.
Are you okay with a small?
You're telling
spoiler
me the Justice League die?
Yes.
Oh damn.
Are you okay with small spoiler? I can keep it to myself. All right.
Spoilers.
Stream. Don't pay attention for 2 seconds. Now, Sammy, what if there are multiple dimensions of it? Or altered verses, like maybe one's post-apocalyptic.
And that changes the actual map.
I've just seen one so far, but it was like everything's covered in sand. Half the buildings are torn down. Like this one,
like the Snyder Batman future thing. Okay.
Exactly, because right now they're mid-apocalypse.
Yeah.
Hopping to another one where the apocalypse has already happened and the characters are different. So like their Lex Luthor was different and had hair.
Ooh.
Like
now, could this be a way for them to keep the content going? So like you keep an incentive to keep playing?
I think I forget who was saying it, but their theory is that's how this plot is insane. People are dying off. They're like destroying the DC universe with this one. Like that's probably also how they're gonna save it. Is it's multiverse. All this got flipped around, but it's how they're bringing in. I don't know if you saw the Joker.
I did see the announcement of the Joker DLC, but
yeah, he's gonna be a playable character. And he's not Joker. He's like, he never made it to supervillain status.
Gotcha.
That's super neat.
Yeah.
I think his voice is going to annoy the shit out of people. I'm fine with it, but I get it if he's annoying to you.
That's interesting. And I haven't heard, and maybe because it's like spoilery, but I haven't heard any outlets talk about that. Or they're just barely playing the game now.
They're barely playing the game.
So
I don't think anyone's at endgame yet.
But like, I wonder what that endgame looks like, because that's the real testament. It's like, how long are people going to keep playing this? But that gives you a way out. It's like some kind of interdimensional, thing that changes stuff so you keep playing the game. I did see, because one thing I was wondering about was it's called Kill the Justice League, but it's like, are you really going to kill them? Are you going to like put them in jail? But I've seen footage of them actually killing them, at least one character. Mm-hmm. So if you do that, how does that work? But if there's different dimensions, bang, bang, boom, you have a way to keep doing it. Interesting.
Yeah. So
Brandam says that the Gotham City Imposters was at PS2.
That sounds like the right...
Maybe PS3. This looks like PS3.
I want to say it was. I think I was in college at the time, so I think it was borderline like PS2, PS3 era. Because this is when like you were starting to get a lot of arena shooters. People were futzing around with this stuff. So
yeah, I think Brandam says that because he still has a PS2 and only plays PS2.
I mean, it's a great console.
Yeah, it is. No, it is
one of the best of all time.
Just gotta get with the times. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying, Gavin, let's move on. Here's some bad news. So Metroid Prime 4. the reason why I bring this up.
Bad news. I don't know what's going on with this.
The
what's
reason why,
happening?
if I find
we're
like,
on the 5-year anniversary of
we
when
are.
they
This
announced the.
Yeah, this is why I bring this up, because maybe not bad, but it's also not. It's just a bummer. So this was a couple days ago. We marked the 5-year anniversary of Nintendo announcing the reboot of the Metroid Prime development. So they gave the project to Retro 5 years ago, right? 4 years ago, sorry. 5 years ago. And it's been 5 years since we've heard anything. Now, we are on the cusp of Switch 2. It's definitely, I would say I'm betting $5.
100%.
It's launching this year, right? Do you think that even though we've been media blackout on a Metroid update, do you think maybe we see this at Switch 2 announcement, or sometime soon that it's launching for Switch 2? They're skipping Switch. It's coming to Switch 2.
Yeah, that's
because 5 years, and they're working on it. They haven't said that they stopped or that they had to reboot again.
I'm gonna say maybe not for. I think the initial announcement's gonna be pretty simple, like just like, hey, here's the Switch 2, here's a couple of features, and I think when they do the like a little closer to launch, here's the big.
They gotta do a teaser roll
push.
of like no info, but here's some footage or like CG stuff.
You
know,
just see like a Samus or something reflecting with RTX and around.
Dude, the neckbeards will just like explode on the internet if
Yeah.
you show them a teaser trailer of Metroid 4 on Switch 2.
I really wonder, like, with some of the technology that's going to be in here, and we don't know for sure. We think it's going to maybe have some RTX cores or whatever they're called.
Maybe, but even that
boards.
that also died a little bit because there was
Sure.
potential was showed off. Not to cut you off, it was potential Switch 2 hardware was shown off at GDC, and that they're showing off ray tracing abilities with whatever RTX stuff.
Right.
But it seems like after that, outlets were saying that maybe that was nixed and they were just focusing on other stuff. But who knows?
Sure. But I'd be curious if they do get that technology, and then it's there. People are pretty sure they're gonna have like an M.2, some sort of really fast
You have
loading.
to feel Jesus by now.
What franchises might they bring back? Like, I've heard a suggestion of Wave Race with that fantastic RTX water, which I don't know if I've seen.
Yeah, there's definitely games that have done that. RTX water, but yeah, that could be dope. Literally anything they could do.
They've got a lot of franchises. Maybe we get some Kid Icarus back, although that was typically what's his name, the Smash Bros guy.
Oh, okay, I forget his name.
Yeah, I don't know.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think that's more of like, that's always the dream scenario. It's like, we're bringing this back and that back, and then the reality is never that.
Pulling a Sega, wasn't that Sega that just announced?
They just literally did that. But yeah, that's just, that's an outlier.
Yeah.
But with Nintendo, I don't see that. But I do see, I would love for them to go the route that every other first party's doing, or like PlayStation, Xbox, where they're remastering stuff that isn't even old enough to be remastered. But like, give us Tears of the Breath of the Wild. Let us see it on Switch 2, because
it's gonna happen.
There was rumors that they were showing off an upgraded version of that on that Switch 2 hardware at GDC too.
Yeah, I mean, I say it's gonna happen, but also we didn't get a Twilight Princess for the Switch, and that came out on the Wii U, and I'm pretty sure that's almost the same hardware. So what are we doing here, guys?
Yeah,
I don't understand. I don't think we have a Wind Waker for the Switch either. What reality is this?
Was that Wind Waker one for Wii? The remake they did? The remaster?
I think it was for the Wii U.
Wii U? Okay.
So I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right about that.
But to be fair, that team was like testing out when they made that. It was like testing out a new engine for Breath of the Wild.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know.
Now you mentioned the RTX stuff that they could potentially do. That reminds me, around that time, this is maybe 3 weeks ago. There was a bunch of these memes, so I didn't catch them all.
Right.
But they were all making fun of. People were complaining that whatever rumored hardware of the Switch 2 would be, they're like, oh, it's going to be an Xbox or a PS4. It's like, that's so old. But then they're like showing screenshots of PS4 games, like Ghost of Tsushima was one big one, where it's like, that's still crazy, awesome hardware. Where it's like, you can make stuff look amazing. That's better than Switch. So it's like, why would you poo-poo that, even though it's, a generation behind?
Or you look at like, I forget who did it. It might have been not Corridor Digital, but Digital Foundry did like side-by-sides of Last of Us. Was it Part 2 compared to Last of Us Part 2 Remaster or whatever just came out?
It's the same.
It's the same picture.
Yeah, that one is tough. It's literally the same. But
that's also Naughty Dog, and they are the king of this.
Yeah, and they always push, especially like when it's a game on the last bit of that generation, like Last of Us, the original, was on the tail end of the PS3, and it pushed it to the absolute max. So it had the legs to keep standing. Yep. And then, Last of Us 2, I think it's 3 years old, 4 years old.
Yeah, it's not even old.
Yeah, so it's like they just carried over the same thing. And, it still looks beautiful, but
Yeah. So we'll see. I think, yeah, massive improvement. Yeah, it sucks. But it was never going to be like,
No,
that's
it's Nintendo.
Nintendo has decided that their position in the household is your second console. We're fine if you're not your first, but we're going to be everyone's second.
Yep.
And we're going to price it
Yeah,
that way.
accordingly. They're going to focus on battery life, affordability, the actual first party games. That's always been their strong suit, and they're going to keep doing it.
Yeah.
But I'm excited.
Yeah.
Gavin, I pulled that up just to show you. It's been 5 years since any Metro Prime 4.
Yeah. But that's plenty of time to finish it up. So
yes,
let's go retro.
duty. Gavin, we have a state of play tomorrow. Sony has their first state of play of the year where they're going to show off some stuff.
I forgot I was going to text that to you. Yeah,
yes.
But I'm sure you already.
I don't have my B-roll here, but so what was interesting was over the weekend before they announced this state of play, they announced this Monday.
Okay.
Now, over the weekend prior, this leaked where a lot of outlets were covering the fact that some kind of synonymous leaker had tweeted that expect one on the 31st, the state of play. Okay. And in fact, that was the day that they announced that it was going to be happening. Some of the games that they tied to that were Rise of the Ronin, which is this game from Team Ninja.
Is that the one with a lot of parrying?
Yeah, and it's a game that it's already confirmed. It's just going to be, they're going to cover that on the state of play.
Okay, looks cool.
Yes. Now, Death Stranding 2, which has also been circulating, that we've had a kind of teaser trailer, which I just watched again recently. Okay. From a year ago. That we're going to see some footage on that. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which I know nothing about.
I know people are now. I can't remember because there are two Final Fantasy VII stuff. There's like the part 2, disc 2, essentially, and then there's one that's just like, hey, what if the story went slightly different? What if Tifa didn't die?
Interesting.
Or Tifa, I think, is the one that lived. Anyway, somebody like they're changing who dies, who lives. Like, so is Rebirth that one or is it the other one?
Now I would not know, so I would trust you.
Okay.
Now, Sonic Generations Remaster is an interesting one. What also helps this is in the past days, it's been not delisted from Steam, but Steam had a big Sonic Generation or Sonic sale, and that was the one game that was not on sale for some reason.
Isn't Sonic Generations like a newer one?
That one was from the PS3 360 era. That's when they go and kind of remaster these classic levels, and you can swap back between like new versions and old versions of it. So it's some kind of that remaster again is what maybe this game is going to be.
Okay. All right.
Now there's Silent Hill 2, which has been confirmed. Blooper Team is working on it. Now we haven't seen like your actual gameplay or anything like that. There's one of the rumors is it's going to be shown off there too. A new Metro game, Metro. Now,
have you played any of the Metros at all?
A bit, and they're always too like semi for me, where it's like you gotta duct tape everything, and you're speaking Russian, and everything's radiated. It's like it's just too much for me.
Metro Exodus, so fucking cool.
I respect them, and they're always like pushing the tech. I really love that.
Yeah.
Now, one folder within this folder of leaks is that this Metro game is going to be a VR game, though. So maybe not.
That's too spooky.
Yeah,
These games are scary.
That'd be very intense.
Ooh.
And then Judas rounds out this state of play, potentially.
God, I hope Judas is good. For all the shit those devs have had to put up with, I really hope the game is at least good.
I want to look at footage of Judas again, this last trailer.
Oh, the trailer?
Not footage,
it's
but the trailer.
It's a cool trailer.
Because I haven't watched it since, was it a year ago? Was it Game Awards they showed this off?
That seems right.
Or this is maybe another state of play.
Like a year ago, yeah.
But this is from Ken Levine, who's famous for the BioShock franchise. He has his new studio. They've just flashed a name and I forgot. It's a Ghost Story.
Stories?
Yeah.
I love that this, like, you can't, like, this is a reflection here you're looking at in the window. You can't tell she puts her hand on it. I'm excited. I'm very curious with, like, the bad guys they have going on here. It seems like normally with the BioShock games, at least the first two and a little bit of the second one, you're pretty isolated for the most part. You're not really around interacting with these villains, but the interesting thing is, like, how the villains manipulate the environment and their cronies. Whereas here you see, like, standing next to that guy. I assume this dog is for fast travel. You're probably standing next to this gal when you're doing something. So what does this kind of look like? Especially with some of his like GDC talks where he talks about like narrative building blocks, which I don't know how that fits into this. So I'm excited. I just hope it's good and that he just didn't get stupidly ambitious. Yeah, so that looked like an NPC there too.
Yeah, so you're going to have, it's not just going to be you. It's something like a BioShock experience.
Yeah, so very curious what Ken Levine does. He's a madman, but he has made some good games.
He has. You got to give him credit. He's made some awesome games. I don't expect this thing coming out until 2025. I think we get that date is what I think, and we get some maybe another scissor reel like this, or a snippet of gameplay that's like, uncut, basically gameplay. But I think they'll end it with 2025.
I could see no gameplay. I could see it just sizzle reel because this game doesn't actually exist.
Possibly. It looks really, really cool.
I hope it's good. I really.
And you get the vibes from BioShock in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, and of course you have like the hand, powers, just like a BioShock game. It looks very nuts.
I really hope that rumor's true. And that's tomorrow?
That's tomorrow.
At what time?
At 2 p.m.
Come on, they can't do it on my lunch hour.
I know. It's calling sick. 2 p.m. tomorrow. So we'll see, in fact, what actually is part of that. But that's, that gives me more, it makes me think it's more credible, the fact that they predicted the actual date that the stream was going to happen before Sony, and these games tied to it. So we will see.
It is interesting how we have these like consistent leakers. Like we have one for Nintendo where this guy is like, he'll give little hints for the direct every time, and they're always correct. So if we get these consistent, also sometimes I wonder too, like, is this just straight up Nintendo employees? Or like, all right, just tease.
Right.
Mario
it's true.
RPG.
It's like advertising or promotion within the promotions, like all these levels to it.
I really hope Judas is here.
Yes, me too. Gavin will end on this. I don't know if you caught this.
No.
Doom.
What are we running on today?
Doom running inside your tummy. So this is Lauren.
I forgot about this.
It's been circulating online. Some little info on this beforehand. Lauren Ramland, a PhD student at MIT, created her final project on her synthetic biology course, in which she showed how the game Doom could be displayed using gut bacteria. So long story short, they're adding biofluorescent proteins to bacteria, gut bacteria, under some kind of crazy microscope, and they can control the bacteria and create pixels with them.
Right.
The catch is it takes 70 minutes for this screen to refresh.
Right.
So you could just have flashes, but they're showing the potential of what you can do.
And she clarifies too. She's like, to be fair, it's not actually running on bacteria. It's just displaying on bacteria.
Yeah. So it's not like in your tummy, but it's
very
still
different. But
it's still a great flex for like the Doom meme of how things can run on Doom, or what can run Doom.
That's right. It's in black and white.
Yeah, so it's black and white.
That was the highest resolution.
And we're seeing them kind of like quantify, okay, like how am I going to represent this screenshot as bacteria? And so it's a lot of jargon, but then basically turns into these they're pretty rough images, but they're, if you could see it in real time, like if it was actual frames, it's like it would look like something.
Yeah. 4,000 times speed. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like 70 minutes before it refreshes.
So it starts out as black and white, and then maybe gets some grays in there.
I think it's just that. There isn't a lot because the entire YouTube video, which is from her account, shows just the process of thinking about it, of planning it out, and then seeing if it's possible, and then going through, and then the end result of what can be done.
She was using, looks like E. coli to do that, which
some chicken.
Yeah, well, my girlfriend was talking about it because we use, I guess, E. coli for everything because like they're ridiculously studied, and we can, I think, modify them. So like a lot of medicines, like they modify the E. coli to just poop out medicine.
Whoa!
So
which on its own, E. coli is bad for you, right?
Yes, but
it's the best like blank point to then just make something else out of it.
I guess
that's wild.
So very, very dangerous, but also very, I mean, I assume they would be, if you were eating those E. coli, I assume still bad for you.
Yeah.
But.
Or new diet trend that could happen.
But eat their poop.
That at least makes some of the things I hear more credible when you hear of these like crazy facilities that are legit, that store very dangerous diseases and whatnot. And I always think like, why the hell would you do that? But they're researching it. They're figuring out ways, like you mentioned, on a higher level of that, where it's like we can take this crazy dangerous thing, but we can maybe tweak it to not end the world, but then it ends up doing that inevitably. But I can see the merit behind it. Yeah. It's just it always, ends up fucking shit up. But we'll keep trying.
Well, AI will get there first and fuck it all up. So.
Yes, interesting. Gavin, we'll end it there for the week. You can find us on Plastic Heart Pod on Twitter. Gavin, if you'll tell the...
it's called X now.
I will never, ever fucking call it.
So dumb.
HBO is HBO, and Twitter's Twitter.
Oh, I forget about that.
I'll die on this hill. Gavin, if you tell the beautiful people out there, good night.
All right. Good night, beautiful people.